I'm looking at an article out of the Wall Street Journal from March of this year, 2024, and it says more Americans are treating their 401ks like cash machines. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean if you have taken withdrawals from your 401k before you reach retirement? What does it mean in the long term? What does it mean for you? As you're moving into retirement, and how does that play? We're going to discuss that. But first, if you don't already have a copy of my book, Safe Money Retirement, you need to get your own copy. It's going to explain how you can protect the money that's in your 401k, how you can get an income that you can't outlive, how all of these products work, how I work, why I'm a certified financial fiduciary, why I'm a member of Ed Slott's Elite IRA Advisor Group, all this stuff, why I wrote a book. It's going to explain all of that in there, and we'll send you a copy absolutely free. Just give us a call, 833-413-SAFE. That's 833-413-7233, or you can log on to our website anytime, safemoneyretirement.com. Now, according to Vanguard Group, I'm reading out of this Wall Street Journal article, a record share of 401k account holders took early withdrawals from their accounts last year for financial emergencies. It was 3.6 of plan participants in 2023, and that's up from 2.8 in 2022, which also was a record. Pre-pandemic average was about 2%. So overall, people have been taking a lot more money out of their 401ks for emergencies. Emergency distributions hit back-to-back record highs in 22 and 23, like I just said. Now, the IRS does allow for withdrawals for hardship-related reasons, including preventing evictions, paying medical and tuition bills. People that take from their traditional accounts must pay income tax on it. And often you have to pay a 10% penalty if you're younger than 59 and a half, unless you fall under several different things that recent laws, basically changes in the federal law, that's loosened the rules regarding when people can take these emergency distributions and not have to pay those penalties. That's a whole other topic we will discuss sometime. And actually there's an older podcast that goes into specifics. But there are now some new things that allow you to get to your money in a hardship that weren't there before. Now, in 2023, average account balances rose 19% in 401ks, according to Vanguard, which obviously is great because it's a welcome change from 22. The average in 22 was minus 20%. So that brings up a very interesting topic that some of y'all have heard me discuss before, and it's when does minus 30 equal plus 42? Well, you might be saying, what the heck are you talking about, Tim? When does minus 30 equal plus 42? Well, I'm going to explain that, especially since we just talked about last year, 20% of people's 401ks got wiped out, but they've made 19%. In 22, and then in 23, they made 19% back. Well, that sounds like they should be about even, right? Let's do the math. So let's say you had $100,000 in an account and you lost 30% of that. Pretty simple math. Now you're down to 70,000. Okay. Well, most people think, well, if it went down 30%, no worries, Tim, it's going to come back. It'll come back 30%. Okay. Well, let's do the math on that. If you go down 30% to 70,000 and then you grow 30% from there, what's 30% on 70,000? That only gets you to 91,000. That doesn't get you back to your original amount. If you lose 30% in the market, you've got to have a 43% gain just to get back to where you were. That's when minus 30 equals plus 41 or 42. It's in between those. So when this says, Vanguard says that 20% was lost in 22, but then 19% was gained in 23, not exactly the same. Do the math. Now, of course, those numbers aren't as different, but still, you did not gain as much as you thought. Every time that the market loses, you've got to gain more to get back to where you were. And it also works conversely. Let's say one year you gain 10% on 100,000. Great. Well, you're up to 110. That's fantastic. Next year, if you lose 10%, how much do you lose? You just lost 11 and you're now back to 99, less than you were when you started. It's just the weird math that comes with the market that a lot of people don't think about, but it's a lot of times why the market always wins. So it's something that you need to keep in mind. One thing that I think is really cool, a record 43% of 401k participants saved more in 2023 than they did in 2022. Again, this is according to Vanguard. That's fantastic. Saving for retirement is one of the most important things that you can do so you can make plans when you get to retirement. Now, one of the things, as you've heard me talk about before, that I work with people all the time, what are we going to do once you're in retirement with all of that you've amassed in a 401 or an IRA or a TSP or whatever it's in? What are you going to do with it? What's the purpose of that money? That is the literal biggest thing that I do in my first appointment when I'm doing a fact finder or retirement triage with someone and trying to determine what they need to do. That's number one. What's the purpose of this money? Okay, it's great that you've got, whether it's 50,000 or 5 million saved in this 401 or this IRA or whatever. That's fantastic. But what's it going to do for you? What's its purpose? Is it purpose to pay you an income you can't outlive? Well, we've got products for that. We've got products that will pay you and your spouse an income you can't ever outlive. We've also got products that can allow that to grow with no chance of losses. Do you want it to work basically on a fixed rate for a set number of years? Well, we've got a product for that. Do you want it to work in a product where every year we can reallocate and determine, do you want it to grow on a fixed rate or with what happens on a market index? We've got products for that. Are you going to need a long-term care benefit? Because of course the most recent statistics show 70% of a married couple at 65, 70% of the time, one of them or at least are going to need long-term care in their life. So having a plan for that's a big deal. Some people want to have a legacy once they're gone. What's going to happen to my kids or grandkids or whatever? So we can make those plans. That is the purpose of your money. So that's what we're going to work on, determining a purpose for your money that you have saved so you can move into retirement confidently.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Surrender charges apply to base contracts. Optional lifetime income benefit riders are used to calculate lifetime payments only and are not available for cash surrender or in a death benefit unless specified in the annuity contract. Fees may apply. Guarantees are based on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the insurance company. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified and licensed professional. Obviously, by calling us now, you are just taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. It's important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Rates and returns mentioned on this program are subject to change without notice.